Hello, and welcome to the Muses Lab, your destination for all things pleasure as it relates to our human experience, relationships, spirituality, and sexuality. I invite you to join me on this adventure of discovery and hope what you receive inspires you to become the muse of your life's journey. So, without further ado, let's explore. Hello and welcome back to the Music Lab podcast, and we are here with another Q&A Tuesday. So I didn't get to say this in the first Q&A Tuesday episode, but we'll be doing this every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. And once questions start coming through, we'll probably do this weekly. But for now, for safety, every second and fourth Tuesday, we'll be doing a Q&A, taking questions from the audience. And if you would like to submit a question, you can do so. You can DM me at the Muses Lab, whether it's on TikTok, Threads, or Instagram at the Muses Lab. Don't forget the STHEMUSES Lab. Or you can email me at hello@themuseslab.com and submit your questions. Totally anonymous unless you have a social handle that you would like for me to use. Perfectly fine with doing that. But questions are totally anonymous, and each question I receive, I will present it during Q&A Tuesday, and of course, loop in my personal story to give it some context. So this community question I received was, what am I doing for me in 2024? And that's a very loaded question. And it's a loaded question because at the onslaught of this year, the first thing, literally, as we stepped into the Gregorian calendar year, I was already like, you know what? I'm finna sit a lot of shit out. And that's going to be very hard for me. That is going to be a challenge because I have mother hen and fix it, save a hole, captain save a hole tendencies, right? And this could be a combination of generational trauma, astrological placements, and other situations and occurrences, my lineage, right? Because in my maternal lineage, even with my bonus mom, I see that she has the same quality. They're all let me fix it, baby people. Let me fix it. Let me fix you. Let me fix the situation. Let me solve the problem for you. They all have that same energy. They all have that same mother hen energy, right? And if we want to talk about astrological placements, I have Mars in Cancer. Which is at a detriment, and I'm a Venus Virgo, which is also in a detriment, and those placements are sextile. My moon and Venus are sextile. Not my moon, my Mars and Venus are sextile. Mars in Cancer, Virgo, Venus, those planets are sextile. I've yet to learn how to work with that. That's another conversation for another day. But that mother hen energy is like real, right? And I don't think being a protector, right? Maternal, and whether you operate or you acknowledge or lean into your maternal expression, particularly if you identify as a woman or as a feminine spectrum person, I don't think those maternal instincts are bad, right? It's not a bad thing. You want to nurture, you want to give love to, you want to create, you want to ensure that there is love that you are imparting on person, places, and things that are special to you, that are intimate to you, right? There's nothing wrong with that, with having that energy. But the thing that I noticed with my mom, my bonus mom, my grandmothers, aunts, across my maternal lineage, blood and otherwise, is that there is this need to demand said person do what you say and not ask questions, right? And you can make suggestions. You can utilize your foresight, your God-given foresight to provide advice, insights, guidance, and suggestions to person who may be either in danger, or you may see a path forward that may be best for them, and you are encouraging them to choose that path. right? The challenge with my mothers, with the mothers that are in my life, is that they utilize this foresight adversely, almost as a tool of manipulation and as a tool of control. And our foresight is not that. Our foresight and our intuitive nature is not given to us to be utilized as tools of manipulation. And I believe a lot of that stems from not having spiritual guidance, or not recognizing this foresight and this intuitive nature is indeed a gift, a divine gift, right? Because religion and divinity are two different things. Like spirituality and religion are two different things. Religion is your discipline, your cultural, your mores. Spirituality is who you are. Bookmark that, right? So because there's this separation between, or this distance, I should say, this distance and this gap between spirituality and religion, people who have foresight and intuitive knowing and intuitive gifts, when you are operating from a religious perspective and not from a spiritual perspective, you often misuse those gifts. And not to say those that who operate from a spiritual perspective don't. It's just a lot easier because there's a lot of cultural upbringing around religion and how intuitive gifts work. Conversation for another day. And I noticed that often the mothers in my life utilize this foresight as a tool of control and as a tool of manipulation. I do not do that. I'm not trying to control you. I do want you to listen to what I said. And that's the aspect of the mother hen, the captain save a hole, the fix it baby. That's the energy. That's the part of that energy that I have adopted from my mothers. That I said what I said. You should trust what I'm saying because I love you. Like, why would I steer you wrong? And because you know that I'm an intuitive being, that you should know that what I said is fact and you should just go do what I said. Because why would you not do what I said? Like I told you, this is what it is. Because you know I have to gift the sight. So you know I saw it. You know I see what happens. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I'm going to tell you that the direction that you're going or the choices that you're making or this other avenue or path is in your best interest and you should go do that. But no one listens to me. No one listens to me. And it gets frustrating. And I have had a lot of discord with my friends because of it. I have lost friendships because of it. Friendships have dissolved because of it. I have been blocked on every social media platform because of it. Because of it. And it's a lot of it, it also stems from, I don't necessarily need to be right because right is relative, but I know I know I'm right because I wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't wouldn't have been given to me, right? If this wasn't the direction or a correct information, it wouldn't have been given to me. And what I had to learn as an intuitive being is just because the information was downloaded to me, that doesn't always mean I need to share it. And navigating my spiritual gifts, those were hard lessons that I had to learn. I had to learn when to shut up. I had to learn when to shut up. And I had to learn to stop trying to orchestrate or help other people orchestrate their human experience and allow them to fail. Mm. That was hard for me because I never want my friends to fail. I don't want my friends to go down the long path because there's not an incorrect. Depending on depending on your experience here on earth, there may be some incorrect paths, right? But relatively there is not an incorrect, like there's semantics behind incorrect, right? There's a slippery slope there. But if I put my hand on orchestrating the way or puppeteering in a way where you're supposed to go, I stop you from learning the lessons that you are supposed to learn. That will aid you on your path of growth and evolution in the future. Like, it's almost like messing with the rules of time space continuum. So if I try to orchestrate and guide you too early down a path that you may not be ready for, I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck up your whole path, and I'm gonna place you in a position that you are not ready to receive. And I had to also learn that I needed to shut up with the information that I was downloaded, because other people were not, like, I was ready to receive the information even though it wasn't for me, but me sharing it with the person who it may be directed for, it they may not be ready to receive. And I just need to keep that in the back of my mind, put that in my mental filing bank. So at any point when the conversation or the situation arises, I can just provide my wisdom and guidance because the information has already been given to me, and it's there for me to hold for when it's time for me to use. It's not there for me to enact it immediately. So I also had to learn in this mother hen, Captain Save a Hole, fix it baby energy. I had to learn how to not be so impulsive and be reactive, and recognize that a lot of the information that I receive is for the long term, or things that I can synthesize from people doing Facebook rants, people going on Instagram doing memes, or people doing whatever, putting whatever parts of their business out in the street. I had to, even though that I can synthesize what's going on, I had to learn how to scroll past. And that's hard. That's hard for me because I want all my friends to win. I want all my friends and loved ones to win. I don't want to see them go through heartbreak. I don't want to see them go through disappointment. I don't want them to have to take the long road. Like, if there's a loophole and a shortcut, I want to guide you through there, and I have to recognize that that is not always my job. Sometimes people got to fall flat on their face. They got to skin their knee to the white meat, and they have to go through it, because those are the things, it sounds fucked up, but unfortunately, those are the things that build resilience. Those are the things that build wisdom. You have to, quote unquote, fail because you learn in the failure, right? So a failure is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lesson there, and that's how you gain wisdom. Your experiences and the things that go adversely in your life is how you build knowledge and experience. That's how your life experiences become the data that you use in order to actualize yourself and or help others, right? Your lived experience is data. That's how it becomes data when you fail. So deciding, making a conscious decision to sit out, to opt out of helping people, throwing myself in there, volunteering, because volunteering is also a challenge, right? I have volunteered myself a lot because, again, I have that fix it baby nature. And when I volunteer myself, I've expended a lot of energy because my Virgo Venus kicks in, and I go, this is the type of life that you should be having, because I can see not just your potential, I can see how this will be best for you, how this is in your best interest. And those Virgo placements start to kick in, and I start to design a life that nobody actually agreed that they were going to do, and trying to get them to align themselves to something that they may not be in resonance with. And I expend all this energy, and I get pissed because the person is retaliating against me. They're speaking out, they're fighting back, the energy is in discord, we're in disarray, and I'm like, but I'm trying to help you. Yeah, but I didn't ask you. And I had to sit with those moments where people were like, but I didn't ask you to do that. I know you were trying to help, but I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't ask you to help me. This guy that I used to fuck with on the low, I built his business from the ground up. And we had a conversation about how I gave so much of myself to help his business, and just to help his creative ventures, and to be supportive of him, to be his ace, to be his partner, hoping that this motherfucker would see me and choose me, right? That was my own personal thing. That had nothing to do with him. That was me. me and my self-worth and my confidence. That was a me thing. But I worked with him because he wanted me to work with him, because he reached out to me to work with him. And I ended up building his now still thriving empire, by the way. When we circle back years later, after I separated myself and removed myself from the ecosystem of his life and got back to myself and allowed myself to heal from that aspect, those events that occurred, he said to me, because when I said, I helped you build your business and I didn't get paid for that. Whew, that might be another segment. Dumbass decisions. The dumbass decisions that I made in my life that led me to certain growth spurts in my life. Ah, that's another. I'll get to that. But when he said to me, I went on this whole rant. I didn't get paid, blah, 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 blah. He said to me, he was like, but I never asked you to do that. He said, I never asked you to do that. And I could feel the blood draining from my body. And embarrassment and anger, hurt, betrayal. He said, I never asked you to do that. But I didn't ask you to do that. And that was a lesson. I hated him for that. I don't talk to him to this day. We don't speak. I hated him for that because he wasn't wrong. He didn't. I volunteered. I volunteered to stay. I could have left at any time. Nothing was keeping me there. I wasn't beholden. I stayed. I stayed and I let this man use me. And I had to be accountable for that. I let this man use me. I let this man take advantage of me because I tried to realize myself through him. And I volunteered to help bring out the potential that I saw. I saw the potential in what this business could be and it could thrive. And I had all these creative ideas and things that I wanted to do. And I volunteered to stay, even though I wasn't getting paid, even though I wasn't seeing the fruits of my labor. I volunteered to stay and allow myself to be used, and then got mad when nothing changed. And I had to be accountable for that. And that was the greatest lesson that I learned about volunteering myself. And it's not a lesson that I held to clearly. There were still other instances where I volunteered myself, not on such a grand scale, but I volunteered myself. I stepped in to try to help people and just be a good friend. I centered my ability to be a good friend on how I could help people. And that is not how the core of your friendship should be. Your friendship shouldn't be transactional. And I learned later in life, I learned about the difference with equitable relationships and transactional relationships very late in life. I learned, but it was late. And I cycled through a lot of hurt and disappointment with myself and with other people before I got there. So at the onslaught of this year, I chose to opt the fuck out. I'ma see it and not say nothing. They tell you the law is when you see something, say something. I'm not finna say shit. I'ma scroll past. I might check on you. I might not, because these days when you check on people, folks think you being nosy. You can't even, it's hard to genuinely check on people because folks will think you nosy. People will think you being nosy, and you're genuinely just making sure, as a friend, you're making sure that they good. Because you see they going through shit, because social media has become a personal diary for a lot of people in certain ways, right? I think there's a way to tell your story without telling all your business, right? So there's a way to tell your story without telling all your business. And then there's people who just go rant on social media because it's just easy for them to just, rah, 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 right? There's a lot of that happening, particularly in the Black community. There's a lot of dirty laundry on Facebook in general. Other platforms tend to have more of a creative business focus, but Facebook is you want the tea, go on Facebook, right? Because everybody's spilling. There's enough. There's different varieties and flavors of tea to go around on Facebook. You can get your fill. It has become a very gossipy on Facebook. And if you want real time reality drama, Facebook has it. Unfortunate, but Facebook has it, right? Cool. So seeing it on social media, it's hard to check in with people and be able to showcase your genuineness in checking on folks. So, I might check on you, but if I see it, I ain't gonna say shit. I'm not commenting on anything. I'm not giving an engagement reaction. I'm not gonna like, share, whatever. I'm not engaging with anything. I'm not saying a word. Because if you wanted me to know, you would tell me. And if I'm finding it out on Facebook, you didn't want me to know. Because I'm pretty sure that there's a group chat that exists with the certain group of people that are your core, where you've had this conversation before you put it on Facebook, and they know. And I'm not part of that group chat. So when I see it on Facebook, I'm not checking. I'm not checking for you. I'm going to scroll past. I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to opt out because I don't belong. And I know some people may think, oh man, that's like a wild perspective to have. Is it? Is it wild? Because if you genuinely wanted me to know, you would tell me. And if you ain't told me within a week, I'm going to give you a week. If you ain't update a bitch in a week, you don't want me to know. Let me stay ignorant. Let me stay ignorant, because there is a mechanism in me that's going to hear this story and is going to want to fix it. And I can't do that because actually at this time of my life, I do not have the bandwidth. I have spent the last 30 some odd years of my life pouring all of my energy into helping people fix their problems, right? And I realized, and I talked about this in the last Q&A Tuesday about people pleasing, and I thought I had resolved that aspect of myself. And I realized that this mother hen, fix a baby, Captain Save a Whole energy that I have is a very passive yet active form of people pleasing. Because if I pour all of my energy into your problems, then you can then quantify the validity of my friendship, because now I'm utilizing my time. I'm tithing in our friendship. And I'm giving a lot more than 10%, my G. I'm tithing in our friendship. And because I'm tithing in our friendship and it pleases you to see how much I'm showing up for you, I'm forgetting myself. Because I've taken all that 10% and more of energy and I've invested it into the growth and evolution of your life and the sustainability and the maintenance of your life. And I have nothing left for myself. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about Iyanla Vanzant, right? Iyanla Vanzant, right? Y'all can say what y'all want to say. But when she said, what's in the cup is for you and the overflow is for everybody else, she went wrong. She was not incorrect. What's in the cup is for you and the overflow is for everyone else. And I gave the overflow plus what was in my cup and then wondered why I didn't have shit for myself. Because I was trying to validate the usefulness and the validity and the genuineness of my friendship through fixer energy, through mother hen energy. And it is not well received. I am the villain, actually, in a lot of people's narratives. I am the villain. So the first thing I'm doing for myself in 2024 is I'm opting the fuck out. We're done. And it is going to be the great. I have plenty of great challenges that I am journeying through in my lifespan here on this earth, right? And those challenges are going to be constant levels of me hitting one level and moving up, and hitting one level and moving up. That's why I say life is an assimilation game. You're going to hit levels upon levels upon levels upon levels. And it's not until your time on this earth has your expiration date on this earth has come that you will reach the final level, right? Because you're never going to be in your final form. Shout out to the blurs in the world. You're never going to be in your final form, right? You're not in your final form yet, right? So it's just a constant leveling up. And as I am on this journey, this one right here, because it has been the cornerstone of who I am as a person, as a human being, and my relational interactions with people, it has been the cornerstone of that. That is why this is going to be my greatest challenge, to just opt the fuck out, to not say anything, to be like, okay, wishing you the best. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And it's genuine for me. I know people say that all the time, but when I say that, this shit is genuine as fuck. If I can help you, let me know. But you're not gonna let me know. You're not. And that's okay, because I'm not gonna circle back. I'm not circling back. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna put it out there. I said it. I meant what I said. It's there for you. It's a nice calling card. And if you choose to use the calling card, great. If you don't, also great. Because I'm gonna opt out after that, right? First thing I'm doing for myself in 2024, opting the fuck out. Second thing I'm doing in 2024 for me is embracing the fact that I'm just gonna be the villain. I'm the villain in a lot of people's narratives, and it's hard for me. The neural spicy aspect of myself constantly wants to over explain and over identify things about myself that I know people have misunderstood. The neurospicy aspect of myself constantly wants to be understood. I want people to ensure that they can feel me, that they are on the same page as me, and I have to accept. It's not that it's never going to happen, but it's not going to happen often. It's just not going to happen often. And I have to accept that. And it's really hard for me to accept that, because why would you want to be in communion with me? Why would you want to call me friend or associate and not want to understand me? The inner child in me doesn't compute. My inner child doesn't compute the fact that you are in company with me and do not wish to understand me. Because if you do not wish to understand me, why the fuck are you here? Why are you occupying space if you don't want to understand me? If you are committed to misunderstanding me, why are you here? Why would you try to befriend me, be in communion with me, be in intimacy with me, and be committed to misunderstanding me? That's insane. That's insane. Like that makes no sense. It's like borderline psychotic. Like why would you do that? This is leading to like circular things where we're constantly going to be in discord and in disarray and out of alignment. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But I have to be comfortable with the fact that people are going to attempt to enter into my space, into my ecosystem, into my atmosphere with the intention to be committed to misunderstanding me. They're never going to want to understand me. And a lot of those people are going to try to change me into the idea of who they think I am. And that's another part of the allowing myself to be the villain. I just have to understand that people are going to like the idea of me and then are not going to like me Siobhan, the different aspects and parts of myself, the quirky, goofy, nerdy, moody, horny. They're not going to like all of my layers. They're going to try to handpick the layers that they like and try to force those things to be not just front facing, but the cornerstone of who I am. And we're going to operate in resistance. And I also have to be brave enough to be like, nah, I'm going to have to cut the cord because you're doing too much. You can't be in my atmosphere. You can't be in communion with me. You can't be in my space and be operating in resistance to me and in resistance to who I am striving and unearthing myself to be. Because my goal is to live authentically as myself. And that is a constant journey for me because I'm unmasking myself. I've been masking for decades and I'm learning how to unmask. And as I'm learning how to unmask, I'm unraveling and revealing parts of myself that are very interesting, that are very intriguing for me, that might be reactive or adversely reactive or visceral to other people. And if you do not know how to monitor yourself in my space and be committed to misunderstanding that, then you got to go. So also being the villain, for me at least, being the villain is telling people that they got to go. And that's hard because I don't like being the bad guy. I don't like being a disappointment. I don't like creating discord. I don't do well with tension. I don't do well with conflict. Argumentative is a different uh beast. We can argue all day. I was vice president of my debate team. We could argue all day. I don't really give a shit. But conflict, because conflict I feel in my body. A lot of people may feel the tension and it feels uncomfortable, but I feel conflict in my body. And conflict for me triggers anxiety. And I don't like how that feels because now I don't know how to navigate that. And that can be an ADHD reaction or a neurodivergent, neurospicy reaction. But I don't know how to navigate conflict because what am I supposed to do? And those of you who are great with conflict resolution or confrontational, right? Because I'm not really a confrontational person. Can I be confrontational? Sure. Is that my natural reaction to conflict? No. My natural reaction to conflict is to hope you find a space to get over it. And we could talk about it, or we could just kind of let it move past because I compartmentalize my feelings. And me having challenges with conflict is as a result of me compartmentalizing my feelings. So because I compartmentalize my feelings, I don't quite know how to address conflict, because every time I have spoken up for myself in conflict, it's ended relationships. And because I was young when those instances happened, I just said to myself, if I don't want to lose my friend, then I'm just not going to say nothing. It doesn't make me feel good. It bothers me. I'm not okay with it, but I don't want to lose my friend. That's, again, another form of people pleasing. Are we finding a theme here? I think we have one. So all of those things led me to having challenges with conflict. And I am learning that over time, because our emotions affect our gut, right? Our gut is our second brain. And particularly if you are a Black woman, your feelings and emotions and your weight, all of that shit sits in your gut. So if you have digestive problems, if you have reproductive problems, if you have pelvic problems, lower hip, lower back problems, it's because you've been compartmentalizing your feelings and emotions this entire time. And now that you are nice and seasoned, that shit's starting to affect you. Ask me how I know. So because of that, I'm having adverse health challenges due to not unearthing my feelings and emotions, masking and compartmentalizing. And I guess we can call this midlife, right? Because the life expectancy, at least in America, late 70s, early 80s. So technically, I'm in my midlife. I'm 42. I'm midlife at this point. So if I want the next 20 to 40 years of my life to be my most healthiest, it starts with addressing my feelings and emotions. And that also means having to tell people no, having to end certain relationships and be at peace with that, having to cut people off. So there's a difference between ending a relationship, right? We ended, this is where we stop, this is where our journey ends, right? We may still communicate with one another, we may still be in contact with one another, but this aspect of our relationship journey ends and we just move forward with the parts that are still in existence, right? That's ending a relationship. When I cut you off, like that's a snip. There's nothing else that happens when I cut you off. There's no contact, there's no communication. You don't get to see my growth on social media. You're on the block list. You're part of the block ministry. The text thread is deleted. I'm deleting pictures. Like there's no aspect of you that's lingering. There are no remnants left that's lingering in my life. So when I cut you off, you no longer exist. We can end a relationship and you can still exist in my life, and we either reimagine or we reconnect in a different way, but just the way that we were interacting, that's no longer in alignment, and it has met its expiration date. But motherfucker, when I cut you off, we're done. In that sentence with a period. There's no comma, no semicolon. In that sentence with a motherfucking period. It's done. And I have to be okay with cutting people. Well, I'm okay with cutting people off because I cut you the fuck off and keep moving and act like you've never existed in my life. Cutting people off is not the issue. Because I also ghost you. I will ghost you. You'll be cut off and won't even realize that you cut off. Like we're just done and I just walk away. And now you're a part of the block ministry. Text threads have been deleted. Like I cut you off. You may not know that I cut you off, but I cut you off. Ending requires a different type of acknowledgement and a different type of connection where I'm being vocal and advocating for myself and being honest about my feelings and emotions and sharing that with the other person without the expectation that they will receive what I'm saying. And with the expectation that it may not be received well, and that it may hurt, and that it may cause disappointment, and that it may cause confusion, and absolving myself from having to connect the dots, allowing this said person on the receiving end to create their own interpretation of what I said. Alex L said a post. She dropped a post on Instagram, and this was a reminder for me. She said, it's okay. It's okay to be the bad guy. Just gonna have to be okay with it. And that's hard because I don't want to be the bad guy. I got Libra placement, so I want to be peace, loving unicorns all the time. Like, why can't we just live in harmony? Like, I don't understand why we can't coexist. But you know what? Some people are just not meant to coexist in your life. Some people you're just not meant to be in harmony with. You are not in alignment with a lot of people. Relationships end. Expiration dates exist. And while I know this, I have a hoarder aspect in me. And I realize that I hoard relationships. That I actually, the reason why I have challenges with closure, because I think closure is bullshit. But the reason why I think closure is bullshit is because I don't know how to address my feelings and emotions and allow myself to be the bad guy. Because often when there's closure, somebody is walking away as the villain. There's a villain and there's a victim. Period. When there is closure, there's a villain and there's a victim. And because I recognize that while I may be the victim in certain situations, I'm usually walking away as the villain. And I don't like that. I don't. But in order for me to bring peace and harmony and groundedness and relief in my life, I have to be okay with being a villain. I have to let people misunderstand me. I have to let people create their own stories and their own narratives that allows them to satisfy their ego. I have to be at peace with the fact that right now, as I'm speaking, as I'm creating this podcast episode, somebody is kicking my motherfucking back in. That there are people who are not talking nice about me. And I have to accept there's a reality of that exists. I have to accept that. I also have to accept that there are people who are speaking nice about me and who are bigging me up and who are amplifying me and who are telling all of their people about me and who are talking about how wonderful I am. I have to accept that aspect of reality and also the reality that somebody is like, that bitch ain't shit. Fuck that bitch. I hate her. Hope she fucking choke. Like I have to accept that there may be some people who are speaking that way upon me. And I have to do spiritually what's necessary for me to ensure that I am protected from that. And that being the villain in someone's narrative doesn't mean that I am a villain, right? That's just their interpretation of me. And people are going to interpret, receive, and interact with me so many different ways. Everybody's experience with me is not going to be the same. And I'm remembering that because these things I know, but I also become removed from it because object permanence is a thing. So I become removed from the wisdom that I know, and I need prompts to remind me of these things. So that's what I'm doing in 2024. I'm opting out of the bullshit. I'm accepting being the villain in a lot of people's narratives. And I'm choosing peace by advocating for myself and speaking up for myself. And it's hard. It's scary for me. It's scary for me because, you know, I often tell myself in my head, if I speak up, then I'm going to have to go back and forth and I don't have the bandwidth. But it's like, maybe I can't predict. I mean, maybe I could, but I can't really predict how somebody is going to respond to the things that I say. And if I utilize how I've seen other people or seen those people react towards other people, if I use the experience that I've seen from others, if I use that as a metric for why I don't speak up and advocate for myself, I'll constantly be muzzled. I'll make an excuse every single time I need to step up and rise in my power and be like, no, there's going to be a war. So you don't know that. This might be a moment of diplomacy. You don't know if it's going to be an outright war. You just told yourself that because you're afraid to be the bad guy, because you don't want to be the bad guy. So this is your little ego, your little inner self saying like, no, you don't want that person to feel bad because you got fix it baby energy. You don't want that person to feel bad. And you know, you love them. You could love them and tell them to go on ahead with themselves. I could love you from a distance. Ain't no love lost, but you can't stay here. You got to go do that bullshit with somebody else. Or, you know, I tell you that the ways that you have been interacting with me are not favorable, have placed me in a not so great situation. I don't really feel safe around you. I feel hurt. I feel harmful. And I can speak that truth. And if you are genuinely my friend, sans transaction, I can speak freely, say those things, and you, as my friend, can course correct. And it's not about expecting people to navigate life and relationships exactly how I do them. It's just giving them the opportunity to show up for me the way that they know how to show up for me instead of trying to orchestrate how they show up for me. That's my Venus and Virgo that has the problem with that. I can't orchestrate how people show up for me, but I can by speaking up and advocating for myself. what is it? What's that? One of the 4 agreements, don't make assumptions. My therapist taught me that. When I don't make assumptions about how someone is going to respond, I empower them to show up for me the best way that they know how. And I don't, as Ian Lebandon said, make them a thief towards me. They don't steal from me. And I think that's important. So yeah, it may seem like I'm being the villain, but really, I'm being the hero because I am creating space by opting out, by showing up and advocating for myself, by not trying to fix people and allowing them to have their journey the way they need to. I'm creating space for people to be their best selves with me as I am journeying to be my best self with them. So there's plenty of other things that I'm going to do in 2024, such as promote myself more. I step fully into my creativity and rise up in my power and not compartmentalize the different layers of myself and allow them to express themselves the way that they want to be expressed. Those are just some of the things that I'm doing in 2024. But that aspect, opting out, allowing myself to be the villain, advocating for myself, showing up for myself, holding space for people to show up for me. Those are some of the key themes for me in this Gregorian calendar year. So, again, if you have a question that you would like for me to address on the podcast, DM me at the Muses Lab on Threads, TikTok, or Instagram, or you can email hello@themuseslab.com. And thank you for tapping into Q&A Tuesday. I think this is great. I like this. So send me more questions because I'm starting to like telling my story and hoping that what I'm sharing can be helpful to others. So send me more questions. Allow me space to share with you all. And thank you for tapping in. Until we meet again. Thank you for tapping into the Muses Lab. I hope you enjoyed this week's adventure. Be sure to like this episode, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and share the wealth with others. Dive deeper into the lab by joining the Pleasure Frequency list at www.themuseslab.com. Receive weekly musings, early access, and exclusive drops, as well as discounts on products and services. Thank you once again for tapping in. Until next time.